Welcome to another episode of 2Critical, the show where we tear into or praise a lot of good work or crap, depending on what we're talking about.
Not today, though.
Not today, though. This is going to get nasty. We had to put down a tarp.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Luke. This is... Who are you again?
I'm Benny.
Benny, that's right.
Just Benny.
It's Benny.
That's all.
Today we're going to talk about gravity.
Yes. And the title of this episode will be called Anti-Gravity, because I'm all about putting my foot down on this movie. I'm about to smash it.
This is super ironic because 99% of the time I absolutely hate new movies because it's all about money. No one cares about story anymore. So I finally love a new movie. And Ben hates it. I'm heartbroken.
Yeah, I just watched it. I know it's been a while, but it's like, how could you just watch it? Why didn't you go to theaters? Nah, whatever. I'm going to tell you the first thing that got me against this movie, okay? So I go to the store, and I have all this extra money, and who has extra money? But I did at the time, so I'm like, yeah, extra money. I'm like, should I buy a movie? Because I always buy movies with extra money, because that's what we do. I'm like, should I just buy Gravity? I haven't seen it yet, and I'm like... I think I'll just... And I don't do that.
I don't do that either.
Don't do that. Don't buy movies you haven't seen. And I turn it and I look over and the freaking movie is like, 86 minutes. It's not even 90 minutes. And
Which is fine.
I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, who's going to pay $25 on Blu-ray for a movie that's not even an hour and a half?
But who also directed it, Ben?
But this is his second movie.
The director of Gravity also made Children of Men, which Ben and I also love.
A great movie, and it's longer than 90 minutes. So that was my first negativity, criticalness against it. Movies that are 90 minutes or less usually are not good.
Less is more.
Not in this one.
Not always.
First thing I'm going to say against Gravity. I had expectations of it. None of them met it.
But you broke your own rule. Don't listen to the hype.
I know, but I watched the Oscars. Everybody's talking about it. You hyped up, and honestly,
it's a good movie.
I listened to him, and he gave me hype. So I was like, this movie should have been called something else, not Gravity. It should have been called Die Hard 6. Okay. Lost in Space, something. I don't even know.
Space.
Dreaming about George Clooney or something. I have no idea. I have no idea why this movie was called Gravity, because Gravity had very little bit to do with it.
Gravity had everything to do with it.
No, I don't even know why. Because
first she's fighting gravity through the whole film, and then it saves her life at the end.
Yeah.
It's only about gravity.
Yeah, I don't think so. Why did they pick Sandra Bullock?
I love Sandra Bullock.
No, I can't.
I do.
I don't like her at all. I
like her very much.
It was so unbelievable. There's no way that Sandra Bullock could do any of this stuff.
Well, not in real life.
Yes, but that's what I'm talking about. If you're going to pick a movie that's that extreme, you can't pick someone we know that has no way that she can do this role.
So, connecting to our last episode, it should have been a nobody?
Somebody else younger, different. Younger.
That I'll buy. It should have been a nobody cast.
Because there was no way Sandra Bullock was too unrealistic for me. There's no way that she could survive through all that.
Gravity is loosely based on actual events, and she studied with the real woman that this happened to for a very long, extensive time to prepare for the role, which people don't do anymore.
Yeah, well, not a lot, but
not a lot.
My other thing that I had about credibility, they put George Clooney in it for like a minute, just for eye candy for the older women. I don't know. No disrespect
for
to
the
older
cougars.
Yeah, no disrespect. The storyline. Let's go into it.
Now, I will also say in George Clooney's defense, that takes some gumption to read a script realizing you won't be in 90% of the movie, and he still said, yeah, sure, okay.
I'm going to be in it for 10 minutes of the 84 minutes that it was made.
That's how much he believed in the script.
I guess. I thought the storyline was terrible.
I thought it was great.
No.
No.
We didn't care. Who cares about these characters? They didn't... The little girl, her daughter died because she fell on her head. Like, if that was a true story, I'm sorry. No disrespect to your real life daughter, but we didn't even care.
I did.
Some faceless
Don't
girl.
speak for me.
Sandra Bullock's in space. First time in space. says that she has failed all the simulators, never passed any of the tests, somehow still is in space, and can survive all of that. That's why I say it's like Die Hard 6. You got Bruce Willis, super old, or like Indiana Jones 4. Harrison Ford's super old, but somehow he can survive all these things.
Don't blame NASA for the filmmakers.
Sandra Bullock could not have survived all those things. Nobody could. And if it was based on a true story and the real woman did survive a couple of those things, because we all know movies elaborate and what's the word I'm thinking of? Exaggerate. Hollywood over exaggerates for the sake of the story to keep us watching. But I did not like the fact that she kept on surviving all these things. There was some nameless, faceless actor who gets shot through the face.
He actually turns out to be faceless.
I know. It didn't matter to me what was going on. It was truly unbelievable. The storyline.
That's the point of a film, to escape into a fantasy world.
Yeah, but the only reason why it was good and people liked it was because we all have that fear of being like that in space. Like, that's our fear of going into space, that somehow we're going to get broken off from the ship and we're just going to be floating aimlessly in space until our oxygen runs out. That's why we're all fear of drowning, because we you know, the whole claustrophobic thing of it all. And I'm telling you, that's the only reason why that movie was good.
And I'm going to tell you, never have I felt so claustrophobic during a film since 12 Monkeys. When I saw 12 Monkeys, I felt like I couldn't breathe, because everything was just so like cluttered together and disgusting. Same thing with Gravity. I felt like when she finally, spoiler alert, I feel like when she finally touched back down to Earth and took that first breath of Earth oxygen, I felt like that's when I could also finally breathe. I was just like,
she survives all these impossible things, you know, the impossible ways of death, like from floating to all these different space stations and things flying around Earth's orbit. All these things that she somehow crazily she survives, not having any experience at all whatsoever. Finally, somehow survives into getting into Earth's gravity, or atmosphere and everything. Happens to fall into a pond
of water.
Can't get her, almost drowns in, and then she finally gets the suit off, and oh no, I'm stuck in seaweed. Like, I'm gonna drown in the seaweed.
That was a little silly.
Like, come on, this is the stupidest thing. You know what I felt like this whole movie was the end of Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Oh, don't say that.
Yes.
No.
It's just, how many endings do we need, Peter Jackson?
As one of your favorite directors always said, Alfred Hitchcock, keep the audience in suspense as long as possible.
And that's what I'm saying, why we liked it, or why it was good, or people thought it was good. CGI was amazing, of course. I give you props for that.
I need to talk about the CGI for a minute.
That's why it won awards. Go ahead.
I hate CGI. No one hates it more than I do. It's the cheap and easy way out without doing any work. But this movie had the most amazing CGI I've ever seen. Most movies would have at least put the actors in real spacesuits and like green screened out the space behind them.
Yeah.
Even the astronaut suits were CGI. They animated the astronaut suits and just digitally put the actors' faces in the helmets. So they weren't even doing any of that stuff. And, much like Children of Men, most of the movie was edited in a way that it looked like one continuous shot, which is not easy. Yeah.
I don't, and maybe NASA could answer this for me, but I don't understand why...
If you're watching NASA...
If NASA's watching, you're an astronaut. You're a freaking astronaut. Why are there manuals in the spacecraft?
Safety reasons.
I don't understand. You're so freaking intelligent. You're in space. If you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna die. And if you have to refer to the manual, then you shouldn't be up in space. It's like, I'm gonna build a chair, and I'm a carpenter.
At IKEA.
And I don't know how to build a chair, so I'm gonna look to the manual, but I'm a carpenter. I should know how to make a chair without a manual if I'm a carpenter. What?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Tell me why.
Right now. Because there's so many different people that have to be on a single space station that have completely different jobs and training, that if, like, the pilot gets knocked out for some reason and the engineer has to take over the pilot's job, he's not going to know how to do that.
No, man, if I'm going up into
He needs
space,
a manual.
If I'm going up to space, I want to know. Because
even furniture from IKEA comes with directions.
Will you watch that movie again? And that's the true nature of a good movie to a bad movie. We kind of talked about that a little bit.
Give it 10 years.
Yeah, I guarantee you probably won't watch Gravity again, at least for a long time. You probably won't watch Gravity again for years and years and years. Maybe with your children, because you're going to be like, oh, you got to watch this movie, it's so scary.
Because we'll be living in space by then, and Gravity will be like a training manual for what not to do.
So my movie suggestion of this episode is go watch Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks. It's a very intense movie. Tom Hanks is amazing in it. His movie suggestion is The Right Stuff.
Right Stuff. In my own opinion, it drags Apollo 13 out into the street and kicks its teeth in. Go watch The Right Stuff.
In my opinion, you want to hug Tom Hanks.
I want to hug Tom Hanks.
I want to hug Tom Hanks. Who doesn't want to hug Tom Hanks?
He looks like a hamster. With that nose.
That is our anti-gravity show for the week. I did not like it. He did.
I freaking loved it.
So, but thanks for watching.
Like, comment, subscribe, and as always,
go watch something better.
Shut up!
So I'm like, I'm gonna go buy this movie. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm texting my wife, and I think I texted you, and I'm like, should I buy this movie? And I'm like, I don't know.
And I'm like, yes, buy Gravity.
So my wife's like, no, don't do it. So I said, okay, cool. I'm gonna wait. So I'm like, and I literally almost left the store, said, I'm gonna go back. So I go back into it. And so this is my thing when I texted you. And I turn it and I look over, and the freaking movie is like, what, 86 minutes. It's not even 90 minutes.